Chosen one, listen closely, because what I am about to tell you is not something you stumbled upon by chance. This is a message from God, delivered to you in the exact moment your spirit became ready to receive it. Nothing in your life aligned by accident. Nothing in your heart shifted randomly. This is divine alignment, the kind that arrives only when a chosen one steps into a new level of spiritual awareness. And right now, whether you feel calm, shaken, confused, or awakened, you are standing inside a sacred moment, a moment that was written for you long before you even understood that your life carried a divine calling. You are here because your spirit recognized something your mind has not yet fully named. You are here because the message from God is reaching for you, pulling at you, reminding you that your journey has never been ordinary. It has always been spiritual. It has always been intentional, and yes, it has always been watched. You might think you moved through this world unnoticed, invisible during your pain, abandoned during your storms, unseen during your quiet battles. But the truth is the opposite. You were never alone. From the time you were young, silent observation has followed you. People watching you without speaking, studying your energy, sensing something different about you even when you did not understand it yourself. Your spirit has carried a light since childhood. You might not have seen it, but others did. That is why people stared at you without reason, why some treated you strangely, why others imitated your ideas, your style, your spirit. That is why certain souls admired you in silence, while others envied you without explanation. The chosen one carries an energy that exposes truth, shakes insecurities, awakens curiosity, and disturbs the darkness in those who have not yet faced themselves. Your presence alone has always been a signal of spiritual awakening, and whether or not you realized it, the world around you responded to that signal. There were moments when it felt like people ignored your value, dismissed your words, or acted blind to your worth. But even then, forces seen and unseen were watching you. Some watched because they felt your purity, your depth, your divine potential. Others watched because your light intimidated their shadows. And some watched because your destiny triggered something ancient inside them, something they could not name. They felt the power of your divine calling long before you learned to embrace it. There are people who learned from you without ever acknowledging you. There are people who copied you because they could not create the way you naturally do. There are people who envied you because your spirit held a wisdom their souls had not yet earned. And there are people who feared you because they sensed the spiritual authority you carry. This hidden truth has followed you quietly, shaping your path, protecting your purpose, and sharpening your intuition. And now, your awareness is catching up to what heaven has been whispering over your life for years. You are a chosen one, and everything you lived through is tied to your calling. This is why this message found you now. Not earlier, not later. Now, when your spirit is rising, your perception is shifting, and your soul is stepping into alignment. You are entering a new level of spiritual awakening, and you can feel it. The patterns are breaking. The illusions are dissolving. The truth is surfacing. You are no longer the version of yourself who doubted, questioned, or dismissed the signs. You are becoming the one who understands. You are becoming the one who sees. You are becoming the one God prepared you to be. If this message from God is resonating in your chest, if something inside you is awakening, if your soul feels called even though your mind cannot explain why, comment 777 right now. It is your confirmation. It is your agreement. It is your spiritual yes. Before we continue, breathe for a moment and let this truth settle into your spirit. You are not imagining what you feel. You are called. The war around you is real. The weight on your shoulders is real. The purpose inside you is real. and the light you carry is necessary. This is not the beginning of your awakening. This is the moment you finally recognize it. And now, chosen one, we must go deeper. We must begin with understanding why you were watched so closely, even in silence, because the world has always known who you were, long before you did. And if this touched your soul, comment one Ebnabi, because you know it. You were called. Why? They watched you in silence, from the very beginning of your life, long before you understood who you were. Others sensed it. They saw something in you that you could not yet see in yourself. This is the hidden truth that most chosen ones only understand later, after the storms, after the betrayals, after the patterns finally reveal themselves. People recognized your aura, your energy, and your divine calling before you had the language, the maturity, or the spiritual awareness to claim it. They felt the weight of your presence even when you thought you were just blending into the background. They read the light around you, even at times you felt invisible. And this is why they watched you in silence. You may think your childhood was ordinary, but it wasn't. Think back. The teachers who stared at you longer than necessary, the relatives who monitored your progress without ever openly supporting you, the classmates who acted as if they didn't care yet secretly compared themselves to you. Even strangers, people you only crossed paths with for a few seconds, seemed to pause when you entered a room. They noticed your energy before they noticed your face. They recognized your spirit before they recognized your voice. This silent attention was not random. You were watched because you carried something different, something ancient, something chosen, something spiritually powerful. The chosen one never walks through life unseen. Even when the world pretends not to notice, it does. Even when no one says a word, they feel you. Your presence has always created reactions. Your inner light triggered three things in people: fascination, intimidation, and envy. Some were drawn to you without understanding why. Some were intimidated because your authenticity exposed their insecurities, and some envied you, not because of what you had, but because of who you were at your core. The purity of your spirit made their inner shadows restless. Your quiet strength reminded them of everything they were suppressing within themselves. Your depth made their superficiality uncomfortable. You were a mirror, and people watched you because you made them confront themselves. This is the essence of chosen one insight. Your gentleness confused those who expected hardness. Your wisdom unsettled those who felt small next to it. Your emotional depth created a kind of magnetic pull that made others study you from the shadows. You walked through rooms, carrying a divine calling that resonated at a frequency people felt in their spirit, even if they lacked the words to explain it. The chosen one does not have to try to stand out. The chosen one simply exists, and the world notices. There were people who observed you quietly because they sensed your destiny early. Spiritually aligned individuals, even those who didn't speak much to you, could feel that you carried a path that would eventually elevate you. They did not need to know the details of your life to feel the presence of something greater surrounding you. They sensed the protection around you. They sensed the favor around you. They sensed the purpose resting on your shoulders. It was as if your spirit spoke before your mouth ever did, and the deepest part of them heard it. This is why some adults treated you differently when you were young. Why certain elders pulled you aside to offer strange blessings. Why some people gave you warnings without context, as if they knew you were walking a spiritual path that required guidance. Why some felt protective of you and others felt threatened by you. Your life carried a spiritual weight long before you were old enough to understand its meaning. And then there were the watchers who never said a word. The ones who studied your growth, your choices, your reactions, your pain, your resilience. They were not loud, but they were aware. God's message often surrounds the chosen one with silent observers before he reveals their purpose publicly. This is one of the oldest spiritual patterns. Before a chosen one rises, they are watched, tested, and measured. People sense the shift in your life long before you do. They felt your spiritual awakening even when you dismissed it as intuition, coincidence, or emotion. They sensed your transformation before you realized your spirit was changing. Your spiritual awakening was happening inside you quietly, a soft unfolding of truth, a gradual breaking of illusions, a deepening of understanding. But the people around you felt it. Some didn't understand what they were feeling, but they reacted to it anyway. They watched you step out of old cycles. They watched you outgrow old identities. They watched you discern more sharply. They watched your energy shift. And they watched with curiosity, fear, admiration, and confusion. Some watched, hoping you would rise. Some watched, hoping you would fail. Some watched, expecting you to break. And some watched, knowing you were destined to win. But they all watched, and deep down you always felt it. You felt the eyes on you, even when no one spoke. You felt the weight of expectation. You felt the tension of spiritual warfare happening beneath the surface. You felt the quiet pull of destiny, and now you understand why. The chosen one carries a light that exposes shadows, awakens sleepy souls, and irritates anything not aligned with truth. You never needed a stage for people to see you. Your energy was the stage. This is why you drew both love and resistance. This is why your presence stirred emotions. This is why people acted strangely around you. The war around your life was real. Even when you did not know you were in the center of it, you are not imagining the intensity of your journey or the weight of your calling. This is a message from God reminding you that you were chosen long before you understood what it meant, and your watchers knew before you did. But there is something even deeper you must understand. The silent watchers reacted differently when you faced struggles. When you were broken, they looked closer. When you were lost, they paid attention. When you were hurting, their curiosity intensified. When you were isolated, their observation grew stronger. Because your storms were never just storms. They were spiritual turning points, moments where your light was being tested, sharpened, and strengthened. And those who sensed your destiny watched those moments with spiritual awareness, emotional intensity, and hidden motivations. And that, chosen one, leads us directly into the next truth. When you felt the most alone, when you were convinced that no one cared, when you believed you were unseen and forgotten, you were being watched closer than ever. Not only by people, but by heaven itself. And part 2 will show you exactly what was happening in those seasons of isolation and silence. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it, you were called. 2. When you felt alone, there was still watching. Chosen one, there were moments in your life when you truly believed you were walking alone. Moments where the silence was so heavy, it felt spiritual. Where the rejection stung so deeply, it felt personal. Where the emptiness inside you echoed louder than any encouragement outside you. But hear this with clarity. Your loneliness was never proof that you were forgotten. It was proof that you were being shaped. It was part of the message from God, a divine setup designed to sharpen your awareness and strengthen your spirit. God allows His chosen ones to feel abandoned, not because they are abandoned, but because solitude is the only environment where certain transformations can take place. When God hides you, it is never a punishment. It is protection. It is preparation. And during those seasons when you felt unseen, misunderstood, or overlooked, heaven was actually drawing you into deeper spiritual awakening. You were being separated so your spirit could hear more clearly. You were being isolated so your intuition could grow sharper. You were being distanced from people so you could be aligned with purpose. This is the paradox of the divine calling. The more isolated you felt, the more eyes were actually on you spiritually and physically. As your life became quieter, the observation around you became louder. People watched you more intensely when you withdrew. They noticed your silence. They noticed your sadness. They noticed your distance. They noticed your resilience. They watched because your isolation revealed something powerful about you. Even alone, you carried strength. Even rejected, you carried purpose. Even heartbroken, you carried light. Even confused, your spirit remained different. You didn't collapse the way they expected. You didn't become bitter the way they predicted. You didn't lose your essence the way life could have forced you to. You kept your heart. You kept your depth. You kept your integrity. And this fascinated the people who watched you from the shadows. Think back to the moments when you felt the lowest, the heartbreaks that emptied you, the betrayals that tore you apart, the confusion that made you question your worth, the emotional silence that made you believe you had no support. Those were the moments when people stared the hardest. Some watched quietly because they didn't know how to approach someone with your depth. Some watched because they wanted to know if your spirit would break. Some watched because they were secretly rooting for you, praying for you, admiring the way you held yourself together. Some watched because they were waiting for you to fall so they could confirm their own insecurities. And some watched because they feared who you would become if you ever healed completely. Even your enemies observed you with intensity. They kept track of your emotions. They looked for cracks in your armor. They wanted to see if the rejection would destroy you or forge you. They wanted to see if the heartbreak would weaken you or awaken you. They wanted to see if the loneliness would confuse you or clarify you. But every time you were pushed into darkness, you returned with more wisdom, more insight, more spiritual power, and this terrified the ones who hoped your struggles would break you. Your resilience exposed their intentions. Your light exposed their shadows. Your endurance revealed your divine calling. There is a hidden truth about the chosen one that most people will never admit out loud. Even in your lowest seasons, you inspired people. They copied you when you didn't even feel like yourself. They admired your grace even when you were hurting. They feared your strength even when you felt fragile. They prayed for you quietly because they sensed heaven's hand on your life. They watched you rebuild yourself piece by piece. They watched you rise when rising didn't make sense. They watched you walk with purpose when your heart was still healing. You became evidence of spiritual strength without even trying. Your loneliness was not a curse. It was a sacred cocoon, a protected season where God pulled you away from noise, distraction, and false connections so you could undergo a deeper spiritual awakening. In your solitude, your spirit expanded. Your insight sharpened. Your discernment grew. Your connection to God strengthened. You learned to hear your own soul. You learned to recognize what aligned with your purpose and what did not. You learned to see the world with new eyes. And without realizing it, you stepped into a higher level of spiritual authority. And during this transformation, the silent watchers were studying you. Their reasons varied, but the focus remained the same. You. People want to understand what they cannot explain. They want to decode the chosen one. They want to understand the glow that rises after the pain. They want to understand the peace that grows after heartbreak. They want to understand the clarity that forms after confusion. They want to understand the strength that awakens after destruction. You became a living testimony of spiritual resilience, and whether they admired you or resented you, they watched. Chosen one, trust this truth. You were never alone. Your isolation was a spiritual assignment. Your pain was a turning point. Your silence was a doorway. Your confusion was a signal. Your loneliness was a transition. And your awakening was inevitable. This is a message from God, reminding you that your darkest moments were not wasted. They were molding you into who you are now. And here is the deeper revelation. The observation you experienced during your hardest seasons was not the end. It was preparation. Every watcher, every silent observer, every admirer, every critic, every enemy, every supporter, they all played a role in preparing you for the next level of your divine calling. Their eyes on you revealed what you could not yet see about yourself. You were becoming stronger, wiser, and spiritually powerful. Now you are beginning to understand that the seasons where you felt abandoned were actually the seasons where heaven stood closest. And this leads us into part 3, where the truth becomes even clearer. The silent observers did not just watch your pain, they watched your rise. They watched your transformation. They watched your evolution. And their reactions to your growth reveal everything about your calling. If this touched your soul, comment 11:9. Because you know it, you were called. 3. Your divine calling was the reason for everything. Chosen one. It is time to understand the truth that has followed you since childhood. The reason people watched you in silence, the reason loneliness wrapped itself around your life, the reason your path felt different, heavier, deeper, it was never random. It was never accidental. It was all connected to your divine calling. Everything you lived through was tied to a destiny that others sensed before you had the awareness to name it. People reacted to you differently because you were different, not in a superficial way, not in a way that begged for attention, but in a spiritual way. Your existence carried meaning. Your presence carried power. Your spirit carried purpose. And even when you didn't know it, others felt it. This is the first truth you must claim boldly. Your divine calling is the real reason behind every strange, confusing, painful, or intense response you've received from the world. When your spirit is chosen, your life is not allowed to be ordinary. You carry a frequency that cannot be replicated. You move with a spiritual weight that cannot be explained. You radiate a purity that others both admire and fear. You hold intuition that cuts through illusions. You embody a depth that makes shallow souls uncomfortable. You live with a sensitivity that reveals truths long before others speak them. And this spiritual sensitivity, this deep awareness, this inner purity made you stand out even when you tried to shrink yourself. Your intuition was sharper than those around you. You sensed lies without hearing them. You recognized danger without seeing it. You felt energy shifts before understanding their cause. People didn't understand how you just knew, but they felt the truth of it. Your spirit was awake, even when your mind wasn't. And spiritual awareness always attracts attention. It attracts light, people who see your heart, your wisdom, your authenticity, and it attracts shadow people triggered by your presence, threatened by your strength, or uncomfortable with your purpose. You didn't ask for this duality, but you were born into it. When you carry light, you become a contrast. You become the one who reveals what others hide. You become the one who exposes what others suppress. Your clarity unmasks confusion. Your honesty confronts deception. Your courage highlights cowardice. Your spirit agitates anything that is not aligned with truth. And because of this, both admiration and resistance follow you. Some are drawn to you with genuine reverence. Others are drawn to you with hidden envy. Some feel peace around you. Others feel exposed. Some want to learn from you. Others want to tear you down. This is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of your calling. Your divine calling has always guided your path. Even in seasons where it felt like God was silent, you thought confusion meant abandonment, but confusion was actually direction. You thought delay meant rejection, but delay was divine timing. You thought heartbreak meant punishment, but heartbreak was repositioning. God's message was speaking to you in ways you didn't yet recognize. He spoke through the doors that closed, the people who left, the intuition you felt, the inner knowing that wouldn't let you settle. Every step, every twist, every pain had purpose. Think of the seasons where you felt lost, but kept moving. Think of the moments where your soul whispered truths your mind didn't understand yet. Think of the inner strength that rose in you during times when others would have broken. Think of the wisdom that lived inside you long before you could explain it. These were signs of your spiritual awakening already taking root. You were being guided, shaped, elevated, quietly, internally, spiritually, and the silent watchers around you recognized this before you did. Their attention, their reactions, their curiosity were all confirmation that they sensed destiny resting on your life. People don't watch the ordinary, they watch the chosen. They observe those who carry something divine, something rare, something spiritually significant. They watched you because you carried a destiny that their spirits could feel, even when their minds couldn't explain it. You represented something powerful: transformation, growth, resilience, clarity. Your life was evidence of God's hand, and that made people study you, question you, follow you, imitate you, or resist you. Every struggle you endured was preparation. Every tear watered the soil of your purpose. Every heartbreak unlocked new strength. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every loss stripped away what could not go with you. Every moment of isolation expanded your inner world. Every spiritual battle awakened deeper authority within you. You were not punished, you were prepared. You were not broken, you were built. You were not abandoned, you were refined. The path felt heavy because you were being sculpted into someone who could carry spiritual weight. You didn't just survive your past, you were transformed by it, and each transformation brought you closer to your true identity. God used your pain as training. He used your confusion as instruction. He used your setbacks as elevation. He used your silence as spiritual sharpening. And now, looking back, you can feel how every moment, especially the ones that hurt, were connected to your divine calling. Let me give you the emotional truth in real, grounded examples. When you were rejected, it wasn't because you were unworthy. It was because you were being redirected to something sacred. When you lost people you wanted to keep, it wasn't because you failed. It was because their energy could not survive the altitude of your becoming. When you felt invisible, it wasn't because you lacked value. It was because God hid you until you grew into the version of yourself meant to be seen. When you didn't fit into groups, communities, or family systems, it wasn't because you were flawed. It was because you were meant to break generational cycles, not repeat them. Your life has always been prophetic. Your steps have always been guided. Your spirit has always been marked. And now, your spiritual awakening is accelerating. You are stepping into a chapter where clarity will replace confusion, purpose will replace pain, and strength will replace silence. The gifts inside you are activating at a faster rate. Your intuition is growing sharper. Your aura is growing brighter. Your calling is becoming louder. What used to drain you no longer holds power. What used to confuse you now makes sense. What used to intimidate you now strengthens you. This is the season where your divine calling can no longer be hidden. This is the moment where your inner light will rise to the surface in ways that will shock even those who thought they already understood you. You are not stepping into power, you are stepping into identity. You are becoming who you were always meant to be, and the world will see it. Those who watched you in silence will now watch you rise. Those who doubted you will watch you elevate. Those who envied you will watch you transform. Those who admired you will watch you expand. Your light is emerging at full force, and it cannot be ignored any longer. Chosen one, circle back to the truth. None of this was coincidence. This is a message from God. You were not imagining. You were not exaggerating. You were called. The war around your life was real because your purpose is real. Your battles were intense because your destiny is powerful. Your loneliness was deep because your spirit is deep. Your calling is necessary, and your light is needed in this world. And now you are stepping into the chapter where everything begins to align. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it, you were called. Conclusion. They will soon see the light you carry. This is where everything comes full circle, where the message that found you at the perfect moment now settles into your spirit with absolute clarity. From the beginning, this has never been just another video, another voice, or another set of words floating into your day. This has been a message from God, delivered directly into the deepest part of you, the part that always knew you were different, the part that always felt watched, the part that always sensed that your journey was never ordinary. And now, as you reach the end of this message, the truth rises again with undeniable strength. You were never unnoticed. You were never unnoticed. You were never walking through the darkness alone. You were observed because you carry a light that cannot be explained through human understanding. You carry a presence that marks you as the chosen one. The reason people watched you, the reason you felt pressure, the reason your steps often felt heavier than others, is because your spiritual energy was never normal. Your aura announced you long before you ever spoke. Your spirit carried warnings to the people who feared your destiny and comfort to those who recognized your purity. Even when you didn't see your own worth, they saw it. Even when you doubted your purpose, they sensed it. And even when you were fighting silent battles inside your own heart, the world around you responded to a light you hadn't learned to claim yet. This is why confusion followed you. This is why strange reactions surrounded you. This is why your path looked harder, deeper, and more spiritually intense than those around you. Your divine calling was echoing before you had words for it. But now, that season is shifting. This new chapter of your life is not hidden, quiet, or subtle. You are entering a time where everything God placed inside you will become visible. The power you've carried silently will now rise openly. The experiences that once broke you will now crown you. The spiritual identity you tried to suppress just to fit in will now define you. You are stepping into destiny with your eyes open, your spirit awake, and your soul aligned with something far greater than anything you have ever known. The watchers will watch again, but this time they will witness elevation. They will witness alignment. They will witness the unfolding of the purpose that God Himself has guarded since the day you were born. You are walking into a season where clarity replaces confusion, where strength replaces heaviness, where purpose replaces wandering. The message from God that followed you through childhood, through heartbreak, through isolation, through spiritual awakening, is now becoming the foundation beneath your every step. You are no longer questioning who you are remembering who you have always been, a divine being carrying a sacred assignment, a warrior in a spiritual war, a vessel chosen to hold a light powerful enough to break generational darkness. You were called, and now you are rising. Trust this message. Trust the alignment. Trust the pull in your spirit that tells you this is the moment everything begins to make sense. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is divine calling. If you feel this awakening in your chest, If you feel something shifting inside you, if you feel your spirit confirming this truth right now, then you are ready to step fully into what God has prepared. And if your soul is aligned with this message, then comment 7777, because that number marks spiritual completion, divine alignment, and heaven's confirmation. And before this message closes, receive this final blessing. May your light rise boldly. May your path open effortlessly. May every enemy fall away and every blessing move toward you. May your destiny reveal itself without delay, because you are the chosen one, and this is your season to be seen. If this touched your soul, comment 11:9, because you know it, you were called.